in the spirit of full disclosure and keeping things absolutely real, as a child, I didn't do the work. I didn't practice as much
Okay.
as my peers. For me, party class was like a fun outing. I had, some of my closest friends today are my party class friends from the
Nice.
time I was a child. And I
Mm-hmm.
developed like deep friendships. And for me, it was always about having a good time. It wasn't really about practicing and everything. And although my guru would keep talking about it, and we
Mm-hmm.
would, I mean, I would do a bit of it, but this daily riyas kind of a mentality was not there. And I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things in my life have been such that I don't learn from other people's experience unless I experience the, negative or positive consequences of something. I just don't learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it is quite problematic. Um, so today, I think the discipline that I have, which I am honestly, internally very proud of myself that I have this discipline today.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the realization that if I don't do the work, I'm not going to be sounding good. And I
Mm-hmm.
think practice is such an effective tool. It almost feels like, it feels illegal sometimes because, there is something which is like a foolproof technique to sound good. And it's a magic pill. But yeah, but you have to put in the work, you have to make the time. And I think a lot of times, you can fool the world, but you can't fool yourself, right? So when you realistically assess, am I doing the best that I can? It
Mm-hmm.
was a big no. And for me, in the last, I think only in the last decade or so, I've realized how important it is to do this. And I think today, if I sound a certain way, it's because I have given practice that priority in my life. So I do think about how if I had, done this from the time I was a child, I would have definitely been, far ahead of where I am today. But this is my journey. And
Right.
today I know exactly how much, practice can impact the way I sound. The
Mm-hmm.
confidence it gives you in terms of um, your vocal cords, it's almost like they can talk to you and they tell you, you know what, whatever idea you have, don't worry, I'm going to execute
Mm-hmm.
it. You focus on the emoting part of it.
Right.
I'll get this done. And
Right.
that confidence is so liberating. And I think when you get that feeling and you get close to that, that feeling in turn becomes addictive. And you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
bring down your practice because you know that you're not going to be able to feel that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So today, I think I am a lot more regular, I'm a lot more disciplined, but I wasn't always this way. And I've learned the hard way that if I need to be upping my game, if I need to also be consistently sounding a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
I need to be doing the work, I need to be practicing. So, all the lovely compliments that you gave me, thank you. And I credit that to my, yeah, current thought process, but it wasn't always this way.
This thing.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I do I completely resonate with you because there is a certain amount of learning. I mean, the skills and all of that can take you to a certain extent of being able to, express things in a certain way. At least you can kind of get your thoughts out there, through those things.
Mhm.
But what the real essence is the heart, when you
Mm.
pour your heart out,
Yeah.
and I feel that it's extremely important to feel that confidence. Once your confidence levels are where they need to be, then
Yeah.
you're at a place where you can just open your heart out and just pour it, into that whole thing. And I think that feeling of being able to open up your heart and just
Mm.
sing your heart out, like you say,
Yeah. Literally,
just sing
honestly. Yeah. Yeah. It's
honestly. I think that is the real feeling and feeling of practice, but it doesn't feel like
mm,
it. It doesn't honestly feel like you're practicing. But a lot of these people who say that, yeah, we do 5 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours a day are
mm,
not literally, I know, are not literally sitting there, putting a Shruti box, sitting like this and always practicing like that. They
mm,
just mean that
mm.
whatever, no matter what they're doing, they're just exploring, they're just
Correct.
practicing, and
Yeah.
they're just having by fun. By maybe they're driving a car, but they're still thinking about the different notes that they can play with,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So I completely resonate with you when you talk about how you can gain that confidence, because otherwise you can
Mm-hmm.
never open your heart up, because every time you're trying to do something and you're not able to deliver what you have
Yeah.
in your in your
Mm.
mind, it's always going to bring you down. So I think
Absolutely.
you
Mhm.
you rightly said that it's an important training, or even because I know a lot of a lot of people I come across, and I'm sure you also would have come across many
Mhm.
such people who claim that they have no training in music, and thereby they are never confident to step out into a place and sing. But in a personal space, when you ask them to sing, you're like, man, you're so good. What are you doing? Like sitting inside this room and
Exactly.
not stepping out. And they'll say, and the first thing they'll say is, no, I have not learned music. The first thing they'll
Mhm.
say is, I have no training in music. And I
Mhm.
feel like, but in my mind, I would be saying, but you don't need any training in music. But if at all that is a reason that you feel he's
Mhm.
not letting out, just go and train yourself. Like, what is stopping
Exactly.
you?
Yeah.
Go out there and know what you need to know to feel
Mhm.
confident, and then open your heart out.
Yeah, and then
And
there's no limit. I mean, I want to say a couple of things to that. Three things actually. One is this whole idea of, doing a 7 hour practice, 10 hour practice. For the longest time, and this probably happens as well. Like you said, I assume that it's someone sitting on the floor with a Shruti
mm,
box and
mm,
actively singing for 7, 10 hours a day, which probably happens in the Gurukul kind of format.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, in my, sort of daily life, I'm not someone who does that. But what I
mm,
also realized that your practice is not just your active singing. Like you said, listening is such a big component. There's so
mm,
much listening that happens, so much learning that happens when you listen to, like, different people and their interpretations of things. Like when I start a new raga with my guru,
mm,
the first thing I do is, go to YouTube. You have so many videos. It's an ocean out there, and play, of renditions of all the greats, of course, and listen to that raga over and over again for like a good
mm,
few months, because that really
mm,
cements your knowledge. That's
mm,
one. And two, like you said, it's not only about sitting in a place and singing. You could be elsewhere. You could be ideating in your head. I feel that is also practice. Like so much of your practice is your ideation.
mm,
And during your practice session is when, like, I completely endorse less is more when I'm on
mm,
stage. I feel like you don't have to
mm.
do something just because you can. But when I'm
Yeah,
practicing, it's the exact opposite.
yeah.
When I'm practicing it, I build my bank of ideas. So if there's one line and I can improvise every single word, I will do it because there's no audience. But that's when I'm creating my pool of ideas. And when I sing the same line live, then I might just pick an idea for one of the words or
Mm,
sing the line twice and do different words each time, because that's when I
right.
can draw from that bank of ideas. And
Mm,
I feel that is also just as impactful as other traditional forms of practice. And the third thing is what you spoke about training. It's spot on. I feel like, everybody has a different threshold in terms of how much they can, endure all of that. But we also have different levels of skills. People
mm,
may not be born with the same level of skill, and I feel like you said, there is only so much that your skill can take you. But the like a foolproof way to accentuate that and to build on that is
mm,
your practice.
yeah,
And I have experienced, through my voice, the effect that practice has had on my skill. And when both combine, the output is,
mm,
it blows your mind. And I feel like if you
right.
didn't have the element of practice, a lot of people would definitely hit a ceiling. But even in terms of extending your range or your vocal capability or emoting or so many
Mm,
nuances of singing, training is, it is such a, it's a magic pill, really. And it
mm,
completely changes things for you. And like you said, it's not that training is mandatory,
yeah.
but it can be a game changer if you have the right guru and,
Mm,
if you subscribe to that method of teaching or learning.
yep.
So you've addressed like super important points. I completely agree.
So we're talking about pouring your heart out. I have to talk about Madras Mehfil because I think see in all our career we do especially as professional singers. When we call ourselves professional singers, which basically means that you allow yourself to be explored by many people. Because there are different genres of music that come to you, and people say, we want you to try this in your voice, and they experiment with you, and it's always amazing, and it's a lot of fun, to do all of that.
Mhm.
But there is always something, or a certain kind of music, or a certain kind of flavor, or a certain kind of emotion that's very close to your heart. Like, if you were to not take any instructions from anyone and
Mhm.
just do something that you truly love and believe in, then there's always going to be something, that's going to be there. And I feel Madras Mehfil is such an initiative. So I would love to listen to that
What it's
initiative
about.
more, and especially I think a lot of our viewers would like to know more about.
मैंने समझा था कि तू है तो दरख्शा है हया, तेरा गम है तो गमे दहर का झगड़ा क्या है, तेरी सूरत से है आलम में बहारों को सबा, तेरी आँखों के सिवा दुनिया में रखा क्या है, तेरी आँखों के सिवा दुनिया में रखा क्या है, तो जो मिल जाए तो तकदीर निगोह हो जाए, यूं न था मैंने फकत चाहा था यूं हो जाए, मुझसे पहली सी मोहब्बत मेरे महबूब नमा, मुझसे पहली सी मोहब्बत मेरे महबूब नामा.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you.
So much love pouring out from all the listeners. They are just talking about your
Wonderful.
voice, and I'm just lost here.
Thank you. This is a,
Thank you.
a snippet, a sliver, really. I would love for everybody here to listen to the entire version that my band and I do together. So yeah, so Madras Mehfil has been around for a few years, but what has happened is that we do a lot of these private events and we're quite active in the private space. But one of my missions this year is to do more events that are open to all. And I feel like a space like Madras, there are people who create music like this and there are people who relish music like this. We just have to bridge the gap. It's a matter of finding, the right spaces. And from what I've been told, I'm not from here, I didn't grow up here, but from what I've been told, in the 70s and the 60s and even until the 80s, this place had a huge Hindustani and Ghazal culture, which has sort of, gone down a bit. So what I'm trying to do through Madras Mehfil is to create that space for the city, create more accessible spaces where this kind of music can be done, and we have more people joining us. And I've been introduced to a few groups of people who like this kind of music. And I think, in collaboration with everybody, this is definitely something that can be done, although it might take some time. And the idea to do this was, it came to us in Madras, therefore it's called Madras Mehfil, and no concert is complete without our people and who are integral to the process, so therefore Madras Mehfil. It's typically associated with Carnatic music. That's the prevalent narrative. And Margari, even more so, it's always pro-Carnatic. And we had another idea a few months ago, and I prepared like an entire speech and a full pitch to convince, Sabha heads that we should try and do non-Carnatic music as well. And it so happened that I met a few of them in December, and we were late in terms of approaching them, so it was too late to do anything this year. But I was having a conversation with them in preparation for next year, and I was ready to, unleash my well-rehearsed speech. But to my pleasant surprise, I didn't even have to use it because again, so much of things everything that's happening is pretty serendipitous. I met people who seemed very open to the idea, and these are some heads of sabhas, and they said, we have the space for non-Carnatic art form, so we encourage you to apply, and we're happy to discuss all of this. And some of them have also said okay to the idea of hosting Madras Mehfil, and we are going to be calling it Margari Mehfil. So
lovely.
So 2024 December is when you are going to see the premiere of Margari Mehfil.
Nice,
So plug.
nice.
Yeah, that's also coming up. Lots of ideas, lots of things on the bucket list. I feel like so much to do and not enough time sometimes, but we'll try and do as much as possible, starting with Margari Mehfil this year. So
Awesome. That's really, really interesting. I think definitely this is a great initiative, not only for for people here to understand more and experience more of the kind of music that maybe we haven't really had a very close encounter with,
mhm.
and you're really doing that. You're setting a completely different uh, you know. Stage, of sorts, so that, a lot more people can come and understand and enjoy this kind of art that you're talking about. And also we can, it's definitely kind of clearing away a lot of boundaries that exist, that limitation that feels like, oh, this can only be like this can be.
Mhm.
So all those are also like kind of slowly melting away. So
Absolutely.
great
And
initiative.
sorry, just interrupting you for a quick second to say that so many of these limitations are often in our heads.
Hmm.
Like I assumed that I'd face a lot of resistance, which is not entirely false, but
Hmm.
yeah, in a place like Chennai, you do experience a little bit of it if it's not Carnatic.
Hmm.
But the people I spoke
Hmm.
to made me realize that those limitations were in my mind. It didn't
Hmm.
exist for them. So
Right.
this year is also about overcoming all those mental blocks that I have
Right.
unknowingly created for myself, apart
Right.
from other obvious
Right.
boundaries. But looking
Right.
forward to it, I think, as a musician, I find it incredibly fulfilling. And I
Right.
keep talking about this. Being exhausted physically is different, being stressed out emotionally is different. And I think one of the
Mm,
biggest privileges of what we do is that we
mm,
get to be physically exhausted without being emotionally
mm.
stressed out. And
Right.
I'm forever grateful for that. And I think doing this gives me exactly that kind of joy. So,
Awesome. So yes, so on that note, I'm going to thank you for joining us today
what a
and
thanks.
spending so much time. I know, like right from setup, normally it's just half an hour, 40 minutes,
Thank you so much for
but
inviting me. I know this has been in the planning for quite some time, and
yeah,
always a joy speaking to you. And even with an audience, it's been fun. So
right.
thank you.
I don't think one little Insta Live is going to really cover the amount of
Yeah,
information that we can extract out of you. So we don't know. Maybe we'll have more of this.
we
But
should.
anyways,
Looking forward to more
yeah,
conversations. Thank you.
looking forward to more of this, Vandana, and also taking this opportunity to wish you on behalf of Team Pallikoodam, and all of us here, and of course everybody who's joined in today, all the very best for all these amazing initiatives. I'm really
Thank
super
you.
duper excited. I'm looking forward to being a part of it and being uh, helping you in any possible way that I can. So
Absolutely. I have it planned. You are going to be part of Madras Mahfil at some point. It's
yes,
already there, but I will reach out when I know the right circumstances are with
awesome,
us. So
awesome.
happening. It's a matter of time.
I'm done. Done deal,
Thank you
done
so
deal.
much.